You know who you are. You are the one who makes sure that everyone else has what they need, right? Before you even think about yourself. You're the caretaker, you're the supporter, you're the foundation that keeps everything and everyone moving. You're the one who eats last, literally and metaphorically. You wait until everyone else has their plate. You take the smallest little portion. You eat the leftovers, standing at the counter, scrolling on the phone, telling yourself you'll sit down just in a minute. But it's not just about food, is it? You take the leftover energy, the leftover emotional bandwidth, you give the very best of yourself to everyone else, and whatever's left over, well, that's for you, if there is anything at all left over. And somewhere along the way, you've convinced yourself that this was noble, that this was love, that this is what you were supposed to do. Because someone taught you this, didn't they? Maybe it was your mother who modeled it so perfectly, you didn't even realize it was a pattern. You watched her eat standing up. You watched her wear the same clothes for years while making sure you had new ones. You watched her put everyone else's needs, wants, and dreams ahead of her own. And she probably even learned it from her mother and her mother before her. Or maybe it was culture that you grew up in. The one that told you being a good woman, a good mother, a good leader, it meant sacrifice, and that your value was measured by how much you could give, how much you could carry, how much you could endure without complaint. Or maybe it was the church, the community, the subtle and not so subtle messages that told you your needs come last, your desires are selfish, your rest is lazy, your joy is frivolous. So you learned to wait your turn, except your turn never came. And now here you are at the center of everything, maybe even the matriarch, the one that everyone depends on, the one who holds it all together. You run the business, you raise the children, you manage the household, you support your partner, you show up for your friends, you volunteer, you mentor, you lead. People look at you and they see strength, capability, someone who has it all figured out. But you honestly know the truth. You know you're running on fumes. You are giving from an empty well. You are making magic happen while your own tank is completely dry. And still, you don't think you deserve good things. You cheer everyone else on with everything you have. You celebrate their wins. You encourage their dreams. You tell them they are worthy, they are capable, they deserve the best. But when it comes to you, you say, I'll figure it out. I don't need much. I can wait. It's fine. But it's not fine, is it? Because you've been waiting to eat last for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to truly feel nourished. You've been giving so much of yourself away that you've not even thought, maybe I lost myself. You look in the mirror and you see someone who serves everyone else. But where are you in the reflections, in the dreams that you had postponed, the goals you set on hold, the things that light you up? Someday you say, maybe if there's time, if there's energy, if everyone else is taken care of first. You've become so good at managing with less that you've convinced yourself you don't need more. But your body knows better. It shows up in that exhaustion that sleep doesn't even fix, the irritability that comes from running on an empty cup, the resentment that bubbles up at unexpected moments, not because anyone did anything wrong, but because you're tired of not being the one who is seen or always gives. And your soul knows it too. It shows up in the silent voice that whispers when you're alone, is that all that there is for me? Is this all that I get? And then comes that moment when you realize you've given too much of yourself away. Maybe it's a health crisis. Maybe it's burnout that you can't push through anymore. Maybe it's looking at your children and realizing you're teaching them the same pattern, that their needs don't matter, that their worth is in what they can do for others, and that they should eat last too. Or maybe it's even simpler than that. Maybe it's just more, right? more of waking up in the morning exhausted, looking at your to-do list of everyone else's needs and feeling absolutely nothing, no motivation, no energy, no joy, just empty. And you realize you can't pour from an empty cup. That's not wisdom. It's physics. It's reality. It's the truth that you've been avoiding because admitting it feels so selfish. And here's what they didn't tell you when they taught you to eat last. It isn't leadership. Self-sacrifice isn't love. And running into a place where you run yourself into the ground, it isn't noble. It makes you unavailable. So it changes. You do. Not because you suddenly become selfish, not because you stop caring about others, not because you abandon your responsibilities, but because you finally understand that you cannot be the foundation if you are crumbling. You cannot be the center if you are depleted. You cannot hold everyone else if you are falling apart. You start to see that eating last wasn't humility, it was hiding. It was easier to focus on everyone else's needs than to face your own. It was safer to admit that I've been hiding. I didn't want to ask for help. It was thinking that I'd rather be indispensable than vulnerable. But indispensable is just another word for feeling trapped. So what do? You make a different choice. You decide that you're not going to eat last. You will eat first. Not because you're more important than anyone else, but because you're not less important either. You start to reclaim your energy, your time, your voice, your desires, your dreams. You stop apologizing for needing to rest. You stop justifying wanting things. You stop minimizing your own needs. You stop saying, I can't do something without an elaborate explanation. You start asking for help without feeling guilty. You start putting yourself on your own to-do list and not at the bottom. And yes, people might notice. They might even feel uncomfortable with this version of you who has boundaries, who has needs, who says, not right now, or that doesn't work for me. Some people build their lives around your yes, your availability, your willingness to eat last. And when you change that pattern, it disrupts their comfort. But that's not your responsibility to manage. Because here's what you discover. When you stop eating last, you don't actually need less than everyone else. You just convince yourself that you did. You don't actually thrive on scraps. You just got really good at surviving on them. And when you start nourishing yourself first, when you give yourself the same quality of care and attention and resources that you give everyone else, something miraculous happens. You become more effective, not less. You become more present, not selfish. You become more generous, not withholding, because you're finally giving from overflow instead of deficit. You're leading on fullness instead of fumes. You're showing up as your whole self instead of whatever's left over. So this is for you, the one who eats last, the caretaker, the supporter, the foundation. It's time to stop waiting for your turn. It's time to stop believing that everyone else needs comes before yours and that they are more important. It's time to stop giving away so much of yourself that there's nothing left for you. Not because you're selfish, but because you're finally ready to be whole. You deserve to be nourished, not just with leftovers, but with the good stuff. The first plate, the full portion, the best of whatever's available. You deserve rest without earning it. You deserve joy without having to justify it. You deserve the good things without waiting for everyone else to be taken care of first. You are the center, you are the foundation, you are the matriarch. And it's time that you started treating yourself like it. Stop eating last because your turn